Well, welcome to Senior Seminar in Psychology. This is a class where we are going to talk about some of the finer points of being prepared for graduation. Not necessarily the process of graduating from Olivet College, but some of the loose ends that we may need to tie up, or some of the things that you might want to consider when you are heading off to the next part of your life. Generally, people go one of two directions. They'll go either to grad school or to work, and sometimes both. So this class is designed to cover a variety of topics because even if you feel like you're going to grad school right after Olivet, your plans may change. That happens quite frequently. You'd be very surprised how many people get into grad schools and don't go. Nothing wrong with that necessarily. It's good to be able to get into a school and have options. But what that means is that you just sometimes don't know what you're planning to do, even up to the summer before you're going to do something. On the other hand, some people will look for a job and find that, well, geez, the job that I want requires more education than I have, so maybe I need to go back to grad school first to get the job. Okay, fine. Then some people get entry-level jobs that require a little bit more, so they might actually have an entry-level job that they're prepared for right now with their bachelor's degree, but in order to get a promotion, they have to have an advanced degree and go back and do that. In that case, those people will be doing both grad school and work at the same time. So we really don't know what we're going to do. My plans were kind of messy when I left Olivet College many, many years ago, and I knew that I wanted to work, so I went back to work. And then the job that I had, I didn't like, and I wanted to get a different job that required a master's degree. So I got the job with the idea that I would pursue a master's degree. And, a year later, I started my program, and everything kind of wrote itself. So you really don't know what you're going to do, even if you have a good, decent plan. Having a good, decent plan and seeing it through is a fine thing, but we don't always have everything cemented the way that we hope that we do. I tend to be a planner, so I like to keep things as stable as possible, but you have to have some wiggle room in there too. So I want to start by taking a look at the calendar, the course calendar. It's a good way to look at the structure of the course. So the structure of this course is that it's broken down into units. And the first unit of this course kind of talks about nuts and bolts type topics. As you can see, we meet on Mondays, and then the Thursday is really a preparation for the next week. So ideally, when you come in on Monday, you've done all your prep work, and then, after Monday, you can continue working on the next class. It's kind of the best way to organize these because we are doing these in weeks, but the preparation for the week 2, for example, should be done sometime after we meet in class on that Monday. So it's a little bit backwards, I know, but I think that it'll start to flow once we get into the semester. The other nice thing about the way that this course is designed is that it can be moved to complete online instruction if we need to. So if we have to go remote for whatever reason during the middle of the semester, we can do that quite effectively. You'll see that the topics that we're covering are some things that you may have had some exposure to already or at least have talked about. We're going to talk about cover letters, resumes, interviewing, like for jobs or for grad school, the graduate record exam called the GRE, grad school applications, and your LinkedIn profile. These are some of the things that you're going to need to know in order to be successful no matter which way you go when you leave Olivet College. Then in Unit 2, this is kind of like a continuing education unit where we talk about some of the things that relate to you remaining psychologically minded after Olivet. As you can see, the first week of Unit 2 is week 8, but all the assignments from Unit 1 are due on the 5th. So you can do these assignments whenever you want to. If you're a procrastinator, I recommend that you figure out a different way to do your work, because if you procrastinate these 6 assignments, you're going to be in trouble. So make sure that as we're covering these topics, for example, like cover letters are in week 2, start working on the cover letter assignment that you have, where you will develop your own cover letter that you can use for many different applications. It's a real applicable thing. All of these are really. So it's not just fluff work necessarily. We are trying to do things that we will actually implement in our lives. But anyways, do your cover letter as soon as you can. That way you're not piling all of these assignments at the very end. And yes, I'm talking to you, whoever's thinking, how does he know that I procrastinate? It's because everybody procrastinates. Well, most everybody does. Anyways, in week 8, we continue the idea of continuing education. So we're going to talk about psychological theories and how you root yourself in a psychological theory. We're going to talk about critical thinking and cognitive biases. It's kind of a fun topic to think of the cognitive biases. We'll talk about how we apply psychological thought to everyday issues. So we're going to talk about a few issues that are going on in the world and talk about some of the psychology behind it. Not just, what's happening, telling a story, but what is going on underneath the surface. Then the last thing we're going to talk about is staying sharp. So how do you find resources to stay current in your learning? Unfortunately, a lot of people that leave college after whatever degree they have, that kind of tends to be where they stop learning, which is very unfortunate because in any field, you must keep sharp. You need to stay sharp and remain effective. You can do that by learning as you go. So you'll read articles and things like that. There are lots of magazines out there that are associated with some kind of association or organization that's related to your field. There are tons of them out there. I get the Monitor on psychology. It's a really good magazine because it has like 5 or 6 longer articles and about 20 or 30 shorter ones that are a couple paragraphs long that are snippets that you can look at as previews, almost like abstracts. So we're going to take a look at how we find those things so that you can spend, a half an hour a week reading some articles and staying pretty sharp. Then the last is how you promote yourself. The Unit 3 is about self-promotion. So in week 12, you have all the assignments from Unit 2 due. So after we've completed Unit 2, you're expected to be able to do all these things. We're going to talk about those individual assignments in a moment, or the types of assignments in a moment, not each individual one. But in week 12, we talk about how do you promote yourself. So we're going to talk about your expertise. And I like to do air quotes for expertise. It takes a lot to be an expert, but it doesn't take a lot to be able to be informed about a topic. You're going to talk about what you're good at, what you know about psychology based on your time here, from your internship, coursework, whatever it is. We're going to be talking about that and how you develop a sense of expertise. How do you get good at something? How do you follow your interest? Because that's what's going to guide you into grad school. If you're going to go to grad school, you have to pick a certain type of grad school. It gets very focused. You have to pick a program that you're interested in. Also, you're going to want to know what kind of job you want. So you're going to want to talk about, what am I good at? What do I like? And how do I find a job that meets that? And one of the last things that we're going to do in this class is you're going to talk about how you've integrated your information as a psychology major into kind of like the synthesis of information about what you've learned, some of the takeaways that you have, some of your favorite courses, some of the things that you didn't think were helpful. You're going to be reflecting on all of that kind of in this culminating project. It's really going to be a paper that addresses, 4 to 5 or 6 points, and you're going to be writing something that's in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 pages, I would assume, but it's purely reflective. You don't have to have a lot of resources necessarily. I would like you to have resources if they're relevant, but it's reflective. So you get to express yourselves, and those usually go a lot quicker than these research projects will. So the last thing that's due are you have an expertise discussion, but also a presentation and project. So there are 2 basic kinds of assignments that are due for this class. One kind of assignment is just a regular assignment that you will submit something like a cover letter or your resume peer review, and you'll submit that through the assignment portion of Blackboard. The other are discussion boards. We won't be able to discuss everything that we want to in class, but I still think it's necessary for us to talk about things like, what are you going to do after you're done with all of that? Or what is your theoretical perspective? What are some cognitive biases that you see? What are some current events that are that you can explain using psychology? Okay, so those discussions will kind of lead you into other assignments too. For example, your expertise discussion will kind of help you to see how other people are talking about what they know, and you'll use that in your own major synthesis project. Same thing with your cognitive bias discussion. You will, that's not what I meant. Your theoretical perspective discussion. That will help you to answer the questions about your theoretical perspective synthesis. So now that we've seen a little bit about the outline of the course, let me take you into a unit to show you what a unit looks like. That way you can become familiar with that as I talk about it. So the first unit has the unit calendar and the assignments that are attached to it. And all the assignments show up with their prompts. I have included some kind of a prompt or a list of resources if it's reasonable for that. So the first thing that you see in Unit 1 is the After Olivet discussion board. And this symbol means discussion board. So it's a discussion board. You open it up. You create an initial post using these prompts. So you answer these prompts in an initial post. It can be a paragraph or two long. It's not just a little snippet. It's a substantial piece of information. And then you're going to respond to 2 other people with these 3 points in mind. So use these 3 points to respond to 2 other people. You'll see when the discussion closes. Please don't wait till the last minute to make your initial post. If you're going to make an initial post, do it early on and give people a chance to respond to you. If you want to wait a little bit longer to do your response post, you can do that, but the sooner the better for everything. It allows an actual discussion to occur. The other assignments are the cover letter, the resume peer review, the LinkedIn profile, and the grad school exploration. And the GRE quiz, it's not really a quiz necessarily. It's really designed for you to search through the GRE website to look at the resources that are available. Even if you don't think you need it, or if you're don't think you're going to grad school, I still want you to become familiar with the GRE. One of the biggest questions I get from graduates, maybe I got one from someone who graduated 5 years ago. They said, "Can we talk about the GRE?" And I said, "Didn't you get into grad school?" "Well, yeah, but I didn't go there. I'm going to somewhere else that they need the GRE, and I don't really know what it is." Believe me, it's a good piece of information to have in your back pocket. So these are the assignments. And then the resources that go along with each one are listed here. Not all folders have resources in them at the moment. I will load those as we get closer. This is a course I built from scratch, so there are some resources that I still have to load. But some resources are available. Like if I click on resumes, I see that there's a resume presentation. It's the actual PowerPoint that I will be using when I create a lecture video for this. And the lecture videos will be coming soon. But the resume presentation is a PowerPoint, and then there are 3 different types of resumes, courtesy of Capella University, that has a really good career center. So they present 3 different types of resumes, and you can see some examples of those with the structuring and things like that. So, and then there are other things like the GRE. You click on it, and it's got, what is the GRE? There's registration. How do you register for the GRE? The preparation for the GRE. There's even a link here to a GRE practice test. So if you wanted to, take the GRE paper practice test, gee, here it is. Isn't that nice? 117 pages long. That'll walk you through how to prepare for it. This is available to you all times through the GRE website, but it has actual questions that you would see. So this is kind of fun, right? Looks like an owl or something. I don't know. But you have all kinds of resources. When I find them, I put them in there. So keep checking back. If you go into the grad school, there's nothing in there because I haven't loaded any information yet. I hope that I will, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that I would load in there at the moment. I might have a link or 2 that I put in there about grad schools, or maybe an article or something. So just keep your eye on those things, because I'll load them as I find them. And I'll seek them out. I'm not just going to, look, I found something. No, I'll seek them out so that there are some resources. Just keep your eye on those. Let me go back. Okay. So that's what a normal unit looks like, where it has the calendar, it has the assignments, and then some additional resources in the folders. Again, use those resources as much as you possibly can. If you go to the discussions tab, it'll have all the discussion posts, all the forums in one place. So you can see that there. If you are going to attend a class via Zoom, you click on the Zoom class link, and it opens up the whole list of Zoom classes that we would have for the semester. It's on 2 pages, so you have to go to the next page to find the rest of them. So you click on this link, and it brings up the link to the Zoom class. And this is the Zoom class that I will launch and start from the computer in the classroom. So if you were unable to attend class for whatever reason, and please not just because you didn't feel like getting up for class, let it be for a health reason, because being in class is more beneficial than not. But obviously, if it's for a health reason, by all means, please take care of yourself. So you'll use this link. And I guess I can just show you what it looks like. You open this link and you click on the registration URL, and once you do that, you can get into the meeting. If and the first day we'll be very graceful with each other to make sure everything works well. But I think that things are set up pretty well. So that's Zoom class. I may or may not use the groups button very much. The only thing that I can think of that you will even have done quasi group wise is the resume peer review. The resume peer review is where you will look at somebody else's resume and use a grading rubric. It's not really grading. You'll use a scoring checklist to show what people have or do not have on their resume. It's a really good way for you to look at other resumes to help refine your own. You're not going to be grading each other, so it's not something that violates FERPA or anything like that. You'll be looking at it, giving it a checklist, and I'll be doing the grading. You're going to be doing the checklist so that you can inform the other person and you can inform yourself as to what kind of things to look out for on your own. It's a way to get a fresh perspective. So the groups button won't be used all that much. You can look at your grades at any time. When I enter a grade, it gets calculated. If I don't enter a grade, it doesn't get calculated. So if you have a missing grade and I don't enter anything for it and you have a grade of like 90%, you'll be happy. But once I enter a 0 for that missing assignment, your grade will go down. So keep in mind that if there is no grade for an assignment that you're missing and then I enter a 0 because you never turned it in, your grade will go down. So don't get all bent out of shape over that. That's how it goes. I use rubrics for everything. So when you see a cover letter, there's a rubric for it. So you open up the rubric. Let me shrink this down a little bit if I can. Got to move some things around. Whoa, that made it too big. And that should be close enough. So this is your grading rubric, and you'll see that formatting's were 25%, the content is worth 50, and the grammar uses, mechanics, punctuation, academic tone were 25%. So you can see what I'm grading when I look at this cover letter. There are lots of things to consider when doing a cover letter. I am going to make sure that you have all the elements in place, but my grading is a little bit more lenient than that because I don't expect you to have a professional cover letter at this point, although it should be pretty close. You're graduating and you will be producing actual cover letters. But this is the way for you to practice in the relative safety of Olivet College academia, doing something that you will have looking at somebody's eyes who's going to be hiring you. So I want this to be pretty good. So you will use the PowerPoint that I give you to look at the different aspects of what's included in a cover letter to complete it. But everything has a rubric. I think everything has a rubric. Except for the GRE quiz, because obviously it's a quiz. It doesn't require a rubric. Attendance is a required part of this class, so make sure that you are here and engaged. That's very helpful. I think that's all I want to go over for now. You can look at the syllabus all on your own. Please open this up, read it from top to bottom. It's a little bit longer than in the past, mostly because we have a lot of requirements for COVID and Zoom and things like that we've added. So be on the lookout for that. Oh, I don't know that I didn't talk about my office hours. My office hours are generally Mondays and Fridays from 10:40 to 1 p.m., kind of in the middle of the day. If you need something other than that, send me an email. But you can find my office hours by going to calendly.com/Haggerty. I'm also going to have a link in here. I didn't load that into this course room. That's a good reminder for me. But there will be a link that says office hours where you click on it and you can make an appointment right from Blackboard, not have to go to calendly.com. You can do it from Blackboard. It'll be fun. But please do read through the syllabus. This is an on-campus hybrid course to where we will meet 1 day a week face-to-face on Mondays, and then I realized that there's an error here. Make sure I get everything else right. I did. Okay. So in here, it says that we meet Fridays at 9:20. That should be Mondays at 9:20. So pardon me. That was just me kind of getting ahead of myself, it looks like. So we'll meet Mondays at 9:20, not Fridays. Hopefully look at your schedule and you recognize that I made the mistake and not you. I can admit when I make a mistake. There's lots of different policies for you to look at, so pay attention to those. You'll want to pay attention to my late work policy. Everything is due through Blackboard as Word documents or PDF, so make sure that everything is converted, Mac users. I will not be able to see any dot pages or anything like that, so please do be careful. We'll take a look at topics of discussion that are broken down into units. So we have the kind of this jobs, grad school, prep, and professional identity, staying connected, or kind of that continuing education field, and then expertise in the field, how you develop your expertise. I list all the assignments here because that's what we do in syllabi. And your grade is broken down. Every unit is worth 25% of your grade plus attendance, which is kind of like being present and engaged, is 25%. Make sure that you get there's no books. Aha, right there. No books. All the course materials are in Blackboard. That's why I have all those resources for you. So instead of spending $100 on a book that you're going to read once, I want you to have those resources available to you forever and ever and ever. Here's the course timeline. We'll meet on Mondays, and it's just a reiteration of what you saw on Blackboard anyway, so there's no difference there. Okay, so I need to make that change with Monday instead of Friday. I'll do that and re-upload this, and we'll be in good shape. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you very, very soon.